All right, good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to be talking about maps and globes. And when we think about maps and globes, I want this question to pop into your mind. How do I know where to go? Look all around you in the classroom this morning. What's different? Right, we have lots of maps around us. Maps of the world, maps of our town. We have maps everywhere. Have you ever used a map? I want you to turn to your partner and talk quietly about a time when you've used a map, or when you've heard your mom or your dad or your grandmother or your brother or your sister talk about using a map. All right, so you know that you used a map at some point. Now, what did you use the map for? Good job. You used the map to know how to get to a certain place. Now, maps are really cool and they're more common, but have you ever seen a globe? I want you to all look at this globe that I have in my hand and tell me what it looks like. Tell me what colors you see. Right, blue and green. And let's remember that, because when we get to the globe, I want you to see if you can tell me what those blue and green spots represent. So today in our lesson about maps and globes, we're going to be able to recognize those maps and globes, determine the difference in maps and globes. And when we determine the difference, what does that mean, boys and girls? Right, we're going to tell how our maps are not the same as our globes, and how our globes are not the same as our maps. Some really important vocabulary words that I want you to pay attention today are going to be our map legend, our compass rose, map, symbol, landmark, route, and globe. Now, all of these words you're going to hear in a book that we're going to read. And the name of that book is called Follow That Map. But first, I want you to recognize once again the difference between a map and a globe. So, if we look at this picture of a map, we can see different places. We see this amusement park, and we see the mountains and the trees, and this barn with a windmill. Then we see a cool city, and then we see a capital. But what connects these places? A road, very good. We could call that road a path. A path is something that gets you, or a way that gets you from one place to another. Remember that too. I want you to remember what a path is. This path is going to get me from the park to the mountains. And what am I looking at that on? Our map. Very good. And a globe. Remember I told you to remember those green and the blue spots on the globe? What do you think the green part means? Everybody show me your silent thumb if you think you know. All right. Now, what is that green part? The land. Very good. And what about the blue? Give me silent thumbs for what you think the blue is. All right. Good job. It's the water. Very good. All right. So now in our book called Follow That Map, we're going to learn about a boy that is helping his friend go on a journey to find her cat and her dog. Now, in this book, we're going to hear all of those really awesome vocabulary words that we need to know to be able to do our really fun activity. So listen as I read that. For time purposes, I'm not going to read the book. So Now that we've read Follow That Map, and we know all about maps, we're going to form a big circle right around the rug, and we're going to draw our own map of our classroom. Now on this map, we're going to include that map legend, so that key that tells us what certain shapes and what certain signs mean one thing or another. We're also going to label the north, the south, the east, and the west. All right, now that we've all done that together, I want you to come back to your place on the rug, and I want you to get with your turn and your talk partner. Now that you guys have gotten with your turn and talk partner, I want you to quietly get up and go to your seats, go to your tables, and sit with your turn and talk partner. So if your turn and talk partner doesn't sit with you at your table, then just sit with wherever table you're going to. Once you get there, I want you to get the paper that I've given you and create your own map of a place that you two agree on. So if you want to do a park, you can make a map of a park. If you want to do the grocery store, you can do a grocery store. It can even be a place that you make up. And once you do that, I want you to come up with a way to get out of the place that you are. So if you're in a grocery store, if you're doing a map of a grocery store and you're on aisle 7, and on aisle 7 there's bread. If you're on the bread aisle and you want to get from aisle 7 to the door, I want you to tell me how you're going to get from aisle 7 to the door. You can pick any object in the room to get to the door from. Now we should all be able to do that since we did it together. And after we've turned and we've talked and we've created, I want you all to come back to the rug. So now that we've completed our own maps, I want you to get up here and I want you to tell me how you're going to get from your spot to the door. Very, very good. You guys did a great job. And it's really cool to understand that our maps can help us in everyday life. Just to simply know how to get from our classroom to the office is a really important thing to know. If we were in a crisis or if we had a fire or something like that and we needed to know how to get out of the building, we have our maps to know how to do that. Or if we need to get to a really fun ride in an amusement park, they have maps to help us get there. Maps are everywhere, and we just have to recognize them. They are most commonly used for us to know where to go. Very good, boys and girls. Thank you so much for listening.